Hi, I'm Emily Hall, and the story that I am reading aloud, summarizing, is Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a man who married a woman who became his second wife because his first wife had passed away. This second wife was so rude and had two daughters from her previous marriage who could be just as mean as their mother. But this man, before he married the second wife, had a daughter, and her name is Cinderella. The stepmom gave Cinderella the most difficult and grueling chores to finish, like scrubbing the floors and polishing furniture. Cinderella slept on a straw bed, whereas her stepsisters slept on the comfiest of mattresses. Cinderella would go to the chimney and sit down after she was done with her chores because she really enjoyed it. But that's how she also ended up getting the mean nickname from her stepsisters and mom of Cinder Seat because she would be sitting by the ashes. Even though she dressed in rags, she was far more beautiful than her sisters from the inside out. The king's son was having a ball, and the two stepsisters were attending and needed Cinderella's assistance with their hair and their dresses. And Cinderella, obviously being the good hearted person that she is, she helped them and did their hair, even with their mean jokes and saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't go." They would just laugh at that. Everyone would laugh. The stepsisters departed the day the ball had arrived and left Cinderella crying, wish she could have a chance to go. And voila! Her fairy godmother appeared and gave her the finest dress and changed the pumpkin into a carriage, mice into horses, rats into a coachman, and lizards into footman to get her to the ball. The fairy godmother, though, she did warn Cinderella, "You must leave the party by or before midnight, or else everything will turn back into what it once was right in front of people's eyes." The king's son was so enamored by Cinderella's beauty once she came into the ball, and he spent the whole night with her. Whole night dancing and laughing and eating and just getting to know her, of what he could get to know her from. Cinderella even took time out of that night to see her stepsisters, and they did not even recognize her because of the dresses and the gold and everything looked so different. They didn't even recognize her, and she was still being so nice to them, offering oranges or anything that they might want. But Cinderella, she heard the clock. It was 11:45, so it was 15 minutes before midnight, and she left. And then that night, she waited for her stepsisters to come. And they were talking about how great of a night it was and how there was a beautiful princess that everyone was wondering who she was and that she was so nice to them. But little did they know, it was their own sister. Then, the next night, there was another ball, and the fairy godmother did the same thing what she did the night before, except this time Cinderella lost track of time and it became midnight. So she ran out of that ball, and all of a sudden her dress turned to rags. But the prince did not see that. He asked his guards, "Where was the princess that I was with the other night?" And they said they didn't see anyone besides a girl in rags. So obviously it's not her. But there was one thing that was left, and that was a glass slipper. The king's son, this prince, spent so much time trying to find who would fit this shoe. He went for people, the duchesses and the other people in his court, but ended up not being any of them. So he went to other people in the kingdom. He eventually ended up at Cinderella's house and had the stepsisters try them on. And Cinderella asked if she could give it a try. And guess what? It was a perfect match, and she had the other shoe to go with it. The stepsisters didn't realize that it was actually her until the fairy godmother appeared and changed her rags into riches again. They finally noticed it and begged Cinderella for forgiveness and for her to love them. They felt honestly so bad, and they were very, very scared because they realized the power probably of what she had. Cinderella obviously forgave them, and she ended up marrying the king. Or she ended up marrying the king's son, and allowed her sisters to actually live in the palace with them and found them suitable men to marry. This shows just how compassionate Cinderella is to people who may not necessarily deserve it.